We made it. You're officially my partner in crime. So if you don't like the term, it's okay.
I love
So
it. I like
welcome. Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome back, everyone. And this is our third episode of having this conversation after the game. And I love doing this because, again, you bring a different perspective, and I get to almost be the other advocate of the other extreme. And you kind of get to reel me back in and say, well, yeah, but so I like that. We need more of that. So thank you for just like having these conversations with me. And yes, we're a little later than normal. We are adults. We have lives. We were doing the best that we can. So leave us alone. We'll bring it to you every week, but just give us a minute. So welcome back. Everyone knows you by now. So how overall, how was your trip? Let's do what you loved the most and then what you could have done without for your trip.
what I love the most. Well, I'll definitely say the scenery. Going into the new CSU stadium, it was really nice. It was better than what I was expecting. Um, and as the sun set on the stadium, it was just crazy. It was crazy.
I love that. And then what was the thing you didn't like the
Ooh.
like the least? You're like everything
Uncertainty.
else.
Yeah. So leading up to the game, there was a high uncertainty on whether I would have access to the media. So the media credentials, but yeah, let's just
Yeah.
say CSU wasn't so friendly this time. So
Yeah. And shame on Colorado State
yeah,
for knowing who was coming into town and not doing what you need to do. Because if you are operating a good business, you are prepared. And they were not prepared for whatever reason they want to give. They weren't prepared. So shame on them for not being prepared. So I'm going to say it. If you don't, I will. Don't you say nothing. Let me take it. I got you. The other thing I want to mention too is before we went live, we usually do this with prepped questions and we usually kind of have something that we have pre-ready, but we've just decided just to have a conversation and just to talk about the things we'd usually talk about. So FYI, this is a real conversation between two people that are talking about an experience that they have two different experiences of how they experience the thing. So just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's cool sometimes when you go off script and just like make it real. So thank you for being willing to do that. So you get to Colorado State, you don't know what's going on, all this weirdness is happening. Did you have any issues like getting to the hotel, checking in? What was the city like knowing that Colorado was coming into town? Did you beat the team or did you get there later than the team? I can't remember.
yeah, I got there later than the team.
Okay.
I stayed in Denver, and just Fort Collins is like an hour and 10 minutes outside of Denver.
Okay.
So I made it my business,
East
not
or
to be in
west?
Fort Collins is north.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I made sure I did not stay in Fort Collins. Being knowing the history behind the rivalry, it's just best that
Yes.
keep their space. But um, yeah, overall it was a good trip. I really enjoyed um, seeing how the Colorado State fans would react to them having their first home game versus the Colorado Buffalo
Yeah. How was
30
it?
years. In over 30 years.
So, okay, so we'll do it like you did Nebraska. So you get to the game.
Mhm.
So similar to when you got to Nebraska, and I think you said that you could tell
Yeah.
the history of Nebraska and things like that. How was it when you got to Colorado State? Were you like, oh, this is cute? Or how did you feel arriving on their campus?
I can definitely say before we walked into the stadium, there was a lot of talking going on.
Oh,
Friendly but competitive. If
okay.
yeah, it was a lot of mouthing going on, but it was friendly. It was friendly.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So they were talking then more trash than Nebraska was.
Oh yeah, much more,
Oh, I
much
love
more,
this.
much more.
Okay. Okay. And so you get in, you go to your seat, and when did they just start focusing on the game, or was it always just like a environment where they always had something to say?
I will say it was an environment where they always had something to say. We
Nice.
went back and forth, because Colorado was making so many great plays. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what now, fans? And everybody just super quiet
Yes.
and on mute. But It
I
was
love. How was that experience for you then being sitting in the stands this time and not necessarily on the sidelines? Like, were you like at any game that this could happen? This is kind of this case scenario almost because you thought I'm one of those people. I like the rowdiness of a crowd. I think that you just don't get that when you're sitting at home.
Yeah.
So how was that for you compared to where you're usually at?
Well, last season I started out, just buying tickets and sitting in the stands. So I was kind of
Okay.
used to it already. And I was prepared for, what I was going to encounter.
Yep.
But I will say the difference is instead of being on the field hearing the fans, you're right beside them yelling. And it's just like,
Yeah,
okay, dude,
I love it.
we're still winning at the end of the day. But to say the least, it was very electric.
I love
CSU
it.
fans packed out the stadium. The
Good for them.
attendance was over 40,000. Yeah, over 40,000, which was a record for them. So it was great to
That's
be.
awesome.
You know,
So what did you see in the game? So after my video, I was a lot nicer than I was last week.
mhm.
And for me, I thought I saw some things that I wanted to see. There's still some things I want to see, which is okay. But overall, how was the feeling for you being there? How did you feel seeing the team? Were you like, okay, I see where this team feels different. They look different. Like, did you pick up on anything just being there that maybe you didn't see the previous week being at Nebraska?
Yes, yes, you can definitely tell that there were adjustments that were being made. The first one was obvious. The running game looked a lot better this time around. We had Michael Welch, and he did his thing. We eclipsed over 100 rushing yards this game. Yep,
First
and
time.
first time.
First
So
time in 15 games,
whew,
baby.
yeah, yeah. So
We'll
that
take whatever we can get
right,
at this
right,
point.
exactly.
That's did you so okay. Could you tell a difference when they were running? Like, I know what I'm trying to ask. So, like, you know how sometimes, like, when something changes in a game plan and the entire team knows they're going to change this,
Right.
then they do the thing, and then Welch performs, does well, has amazing carries. Could you see their excitement of like, yeah, like because it's different. They
Yeah.
weren't doing that before.
Yeah, so I don't know if you all could tell, but Michael Welch, he definitely was feeling it that game. He was juiced
Okay.
up. You can tell he was energized coming on and off the field, and he was just, whenever the ball was in his hands, he made sure that you knew that he was coming. He was coming
Nice.
downhill full steam.
Okay. And he kept that on the sidelines then.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so one of my complaints with the TV is that I feel like they don't show us the players anymore. They almost show us like the promo, the billboard, the this stats, the pretty graphic, and it's like we're not. It's I don't know. For
yeah,
me, it doesn't allow me to like be in the game because I want to know like what the players are doing. Instead, we're looking at somebody's shoes or so. I'm like, all right, like whatever. So it's fine.
right, right.
So, did you ever think Colorado was going to lose? Were you ever concerned? Did you ever have a moment where you were like, "We have to score here"?
Well, I'll say no, but I will say in the first quarter, it was like, okay, now somebody needs to score. Like, go ahead and.
Yeah, do your thing, please.
But there was a time where I did see CSU, and it looked like they were picking up momentum, but the drive stalled. But
Yeah, yeah, because they had what, like 4 turnovers. I mean, it was kind of laughable.
yeah,
So yeah, it was pretty bad. So at halftime, did you leave your seat? Did you go get any snacks? Did you stay the whole time? Like, how did you move around about the stadium? Because you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is probably a question nobody cares about.
mhm,
As an avid game goer back in my day, halftime was my moment because I was
yeah,
like, I got to get out, I get to go to the bathroom, I get to try the food. Like, so are you like that, or is that just a me
yes,
thing?
definitely. I am like that. I didn't eat before the game at all, so I actually went to a little fry spot that they have in the stadium, and I got some
French fries?
Fuego. Yeah, French fries. They have like this place is like all type of French fries you can get like loaded, and I got like Fuego fries. It was like
Oh my gosh.
spicy cheese and like a sauce on there. It was really good. It was really good.
That sounds in the stadium. I
Yeah,
love stadium food.
me
Like,
too.
it's like the one well, I'm like, "Give me all the trash. Give me all the things. I need all of it."
yeah,
So well,
yeah,
that's cool. Well, good to know they have good food. And it's kind of funny though, because like this game I felt like was I didn't know what to expect just because of them coming off of the loss. And then Colorado State, I didn't know what they were going to give. And so it was kind of interesting to see how things played out. How did you feel heading into the third quarter, the fourth quarter? Were you like, all right, we got this. We're going to be okay?
Yes. Once they went in for halftime, I was like, okay. They
Uh-huh.
usually come out better in the second half than they do in the first half. So I wasn't concerned about, CSU possibly making a comeback. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just knew that the
Okay.
guys they had the energy going into the half, and that was a great sign.
Were they chanting things to the team? Were they like, what was the crowd like? Like,
Oh my gosh,
was
yeah.
it like derogatory things or was it just like football, you suck things?
It was both. It was both.
Uh,
Definitely
okay.
derogatory. As you can see on X, I
Yeah.
reposted a video of the crowd saying, "Daddy's money." And
Yeah. See, I didn't know if that was like during the game or if that was like,
that was pregame. That was pregame.
okay.
Yeah.
And that continued.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
Interesting.
yeah, it was
Can
just.
I just say though, as a sports watcher, I'm okay with the haggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I know that some people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. This is terrible. This is awful." I like the trash talk. I like the haggling. I like any times the stakes get raised because I think that you get to see who's up for it and who's not. And I like it. Now, obviously, if it's derogatory, that's different. That's a whole different thing. But I like a little bit of like,
Yeah.
screw you. No,
It's
screw
fine.
you. I'll show you. Like, I like it.
Yeah, yeah, and see, it's all good and fun, but just keep the family out of it. That's all I ask.
Yeah. The family anytime. Well, okay, yes, for college athletes, yes.
Yeah.
Professionals, it's a little different.
Professional,
Like
that's
it's yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's a little different. But I do agree with you that like it can go too far. And I haven't watched enough videos to know everything that was happening. It's just the ones that I watched, I was like, I don't care that they're chanting daddy's money because he shut them up. So who cares?
yeah.
But I understand sometimes people are like, but be nice. And I'm like, no, like yell, because if Colorado's fans don't yell something this week against Baylor, like, what are we doing here, people? Come on, yell, dig.
Do something.
That's home field advantage. So again, everybody always tells me I'm so harsh and all the things, but maybe that's just me. I'm like, let me hear it because it's gonna make me play better. How do you feel like the athletes were compared to Colorado State's athletes?
Well, CSU has a great receiver, number 14. I can't remember his name right now. But
Horton.
yes, him. He is very speedy. I will say they were a little slimmer than our players. I will say. Just,
So there's a size difference. Okay.
yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. But they, yeah, yeah.
That's
Wait,
you know what?
you can
That
tell.
is why this works because you're very nice. Kudos to you. I respect it. Okay. Okay. Could you tell the size difference between because we made some offensive line changes and how did that look? Because I think, the reason why I'm asking is because as we move forward, Big 12 play, the guys are going to be a lot more equally matched, probably in almost every game that they play moving forward. So I'm just kind of curious to kind of picture what they were going against to just kind of get like a visual of what it is and what it isn't kind of thing.
Yeah, so physically, I can say they dominated, and their stature was much bigger than the Colorado State guys.
Okay.
But even still, the defense did their job. The front line offense, they did an amazing job, only giving up one sack. So
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I cringe, I'm just going to be honest. Every time the football hikes, I'm like, whoo, okay, whoo, go out of that one. So,
they
I
did a
don't know if
great.
it'll ever go away, but I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, it's at this point it's just natural. I
It
understand.
just is what it is. Yeah. And then, okay, so the game ends. After the game, was it hard for you to get out? Were people still like, did people start leaving early or did they stay to the entire time?
People were leaving before at halftime.
Okay, perfect. So it got calmer and people started clearing out.
Well,
Yes, but
some of the student section started to leave at halftime, and it was just like,
okay.
okay, they knew they weren't going to come back, and they were just dominating at that point.
Yeah. Okay. And so how was it getting out of there and then making that drive back to Denver? Because I imagine it was kind of late for you.
Yeah, so luckily, I'll just say this: on the way to the game, we parked our car maybe 2 or 3 blocks away, and we got into, you know how they have a little bicycle and you have
Hmm.
little seats on the back. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we rode that to the game, but coming from the game, we left a little bit earlier, so we wouldn't get caught up in the traffic. But it wasn't that bad, honestly. The
Good.
traffic wasn't.
Okay. That's good. So if you could compare one thing that's different between like that environment and then what you saw at Nebraska, because I don't think Colorado's going to face anything like Nebraska until Texas Tech, especially if that's a night game. Not because Texas Tech can fit as many fans, but just the loudness and the environment is a little wonky.
Right.
How was it as far as just like noise at the beginning of the game? Because obviously, as the game went on, like they probably weren't very loud. But how was it compared to how it was at Nebraska?
Honestly, Nebraska was on a whole different level.
Okay, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah, it
Okay,
wasn't even close at all. And
cool.
I will say that Nebraska, you could tell that they invest more money into their football program. Uh, Granted that they've won, so they deserve the
Yeah,
facilities that they have and different things like that, resources.
yeah,
But Colorado State, they did hold their own. Like I said, that's their new stadium. They haven't played Colorado on campus in over 30 years. So
yeah.
that was a great experience. And they won't play them again until 2029, I think.
Yeah, I think it said something like that on TV. It's like the way they did these schedules is so interesting to me. It's
I,
like, yeah, I don't yeah, I'm not in that business. I've never really understood how they do that. Texas is the same. Like, yeah, we played Michigan this year, but then next year and then the year after that we play Ohio State. So I'm like, how did we and then we'll go back and play Michigan like in 5 or 6 years. I'm like, how do you guys figure this out?
I don't think this.
Yeah, it's super weird. So I do want to ask you, who would if you had a game ball to give away, or if you could tell me like a person or two on offense or a person or two on defense that when you were watching them, you thought, you know what? I've seen an improvement from this person or this position from game one to now. This looks better. This looks different from what I originally saw against North Dakota State.
Right. So for offense, I would give my game ball to Travis Hunter, of course. He
Well,
came and balled
that's
out.
not fair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have to. He had 13 receptions. This is his third 100-yard receiving game. He's doing his thing on offense and defense, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. For defense, I would have to say BJ Green. He stepped up.
Ooh.
He stepped up,
Okay.
and with the fumble recovery, that was really good. And you could just tell his motor has gotten started. So I believe as the season progresses, he will progress as well.
Okay. What number is BJ Green?
35.
35. Okay, 35. I'm one of those people that like I will know your number before I know your name. Like I'm like because it's easier for me. I'm like, oh, I see this guy going, and it's just easier. I'm like, okay, that's number 2. That's 12. It's easier for me. So my little pea brain, I'm like, I need to know your number. So that's good. Who surprised you? Who have you seen over the past 3 weeks? Because I think you're the only person that I know that's been to all 3 games. Who has surprised you over these last few weeks that you're paying a little bit more attention to that maybe you weren't paying attention to during the North Dakota State game?
Great question. I will say LeJontay Wester.
Mm.
We all knew he was, a transfer who came from FAU, and he was just very explosive. But to actually see him finding his role on the Colorado offense, I feel like that's very impressive.
Okay.
And normally it takes time for players to establish a role in the offense, especially their first year there. But this game, he had 2 receiving touchdowns, which was big. And I feel like that's just going to raise his draft stock whenever he does.
Yeah, I think it'll help his confidence as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's good. And then listen, let's talk about our quarterback. Let's talk about QB1. How did he look to you? I made it in my video. I said, like, I think in my after effect video, because I'm kind of like having a video where I say what I want and then I kind of like rant at the very end. One of the things I said, I was just going to keep an eye on him because at some moments it kind of looks like, I don't want to say he has happy feet. I don't want to say he has PTSD, but quite frankly, if I was him, I would. But there's moments where I'm like, calm down. It's okay. You're fine. Well, let us overreact for you, but you're good kind of thing. Is that a me thing that I'm seeing from TV that's giving me like this thing where I'm like, you've got this, they've got you? Or do you see it when you're live? Because he's phenomenal. We don't have to talk about how great he is, but like,
Yeah.
am I making this up in my head?
No, no, no. It's like that feeling of uncertainty. You don't know which
Hmm.
I don't want to say like which Shador, but you don't know what the offense is going to give you.
Yeah,
But definitely, I'll say ball security was a factor in this game. He protected the ball well,
he did.
zero interceptions,
Hmm.
and the previous 2 games he had at least one interception. But this was his first game without an interception, and
Yeah,
he also threw 4 touchdowns, which was uh, his second time doing that this season, which is big, being that
yeah.
it's only 3 games. But he did have over 300 passing yards. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too it's like protecting your best asset, It's like there's two people on this team that I think we all collectively would take a deep gasp if something happened, even if
yeah,
it was just they went down to tie their shoe, right?
yeah,
Like we don't know what they're doing, so the initial reaction is like, why is he hunched over? It's
yeah,
like, and
yeah,
so yeah, so I just find myself almost like just focused on him, and I'm like, is his body language okay? Does he look okay? Is he going to be okay?
yeah,
Because he's, he's our team. Like we need him out there. And I just want to make sure that he's protected. He should be protected. He's QB1 for crying out loud. Protect the
exactly.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask you too many Baylor questions, but I do have just a question on if you've watched any of Baylor, are you excited about this game? Do you have a routine ready to go for when you land to go to this game? Don't tell us your routine, obviously, because obvious reasons, but how are you looking forward to this game? What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts? How are you feeling as of today?
Yes, I am looking forward to this game. This is going to be this is a homecoming game as well.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of activities going on around outside the game. But as far as Baylor, they are 2-1. Um, their quarterback hasn't thrown for over 400 yards this season just yet. Um, but I'm excited to see how their offense is going to come out versus our defense and how our defense is going to respond, which will set the tone for the game. As long as we dominate our defense, um, the offense will open up windows for scoring windows. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. I like that. I like that you said that. I like it. Awesome. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you were hoping I asked you? Is there any How do you feel about people coming up to you if they see you in person? Are you cool with that? Cuz sometimes people will give you the look and they're like, "I think I know him, but I'm not going to talk to you." Is that like, do you mind if people come up to you if they
Yeah,
see you just to say hi?
yeah, of
Okay.
course. I love interacting with the people. That's what I do it for. Just I'm a fan as well. So
Yeah.
if I can, and if we have something in common, that makes it much more easier to get along with. So I like
Yeah.
interacting with fans and getting to know people. So
Okay, cool. I just like if you see him, say something. Don't do the weird, awkward, like, is that who is? And then you know how like people get out their phones and they'll kind of like match you, like if you see
yeah,
him, say hi. It's weird. It's
yeah, I
already
haven't had
weird. Okay. All right. I'm guilty of doing that before. Like I've done that. I'm like, is that so and so? And then finally I was like, ah, screw it. Are you? It was the funny thing is it was actually Todd Chrisley, which funny enough. But I
mm.
was like, God, it looks so much like Todd Chrisley. And it was. But at first I was like, is that? But anyways, like that's neither here or there. So the last thing that I'll ask you is, are you are you I don't want to ask you your prediction because I don't want to do that here. But you mentioned how you've seen kind of like I'm assuming you've like looked at the stats to kind of see where Baylor has been and what they have going on. When you get there, and you first see them, right? Because and I could be making this up, and if I am, please be like, I don't do that. Shut up. That's not real. I always look at teams. And then when I get there on game day, I always want to just see what like my team looks like compared to like their team. Do you do that when you head into the stadium or you see them warming up? Do you kind of just look to kind of size them up to see like, because that's what I would be doing when I would go. I'm just curious to know if you do that as you like head into the stadium and just see what's going on over there.
Yeah, so like I definitely observe, their physical stature,
Okay.
but I've learned over the years, like sometimes it's not even about that, it's about
That's
the
true. That's
fighting
true.
heart.
That's true.
But
That's true.
I'm biased. I'm biased. I'm like 5'7", 5'8". So when I played, it was just like, hey, sure, he's not gonna do anything. Oh, he scored a touchdown. But yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I think so many times, like as fans, we're all looking for an advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all like we all wish that we could see the advantage right away. Like most people just say, "Oh, we have Shador and Travis," and it's like, okay, fine. But like, when you get there and it's actually game day, I'm always like, "Is that number? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See why he could have 200 rushing yards."
Yeah, yeah. I said that. I said that more at Nebraska more than anything. Now they had some talent.
They had some beef.
Yeah. Beef.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Nothing wrong with a little beef. Nothing wrong with a little beef. So we'll end this video. However, like I always do, I like to leave it. You get the last word. You let me know anything you want to say, any thoughts that you have, anything that you're feeling. This is your time.
So yes, I'm glad that the Colorado Buffalo are now 2-1 on the season. Of course, we would love to be 3-0, but realistically, we are finding our identity as a football team on offense and defense. I feel like the offense is unlimited on what they can produce. We just got the running game started. As you can see, we have running backs who can run the ball, which is
that's a fact.
Yeah, and it's great to see, like, okay, we do have the talent, and that's not the issue. And we have numbers, we have depth at the running back position, and that's also a great thing to see. But on defense, that is where my concern was the most, and I feel like they came out versus CSU. They dominated, and they're finding their rhythm as well.
Okay.
So that's exciting to see.
If you will answer this question, you don't have to. Who do you want to be the starting running back, and who do you want to be the second running back that comes in behind that guy? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, so I really would love to see Hayden at the starting position, and Welch at number 2.
Okay.
And like I said, they have so much depth. If you just rotate 3 guys in there with fresh legs every other play, it's no limit to what we could do. I understand that there were some adjustments that needed to be made on the line, and as far as I can see, like they were made in this past game. So just improving every week.
Yeah, and kudos. I think I said this in my video, but I will say it again. Kudos to them for my eyebrow started itching. That was so random. Kudos to them for those changes, because I do agree. It looked like a great idea. It looked like it worked. And if for nothing else, Houston didn't let anyone get around him. And that matters. So, like, I know it's not as simple as just don't let the guy, whatever, but again, we're looking for progress. We got progress. I'm excited. And as always, like, thank you for joining me. Thank you for chatting with me about this. I'm super excited to see the atmosphere for homecoming, because that's actually going to be, I think, really interesting to see. Oh my gosh, they're probably going to do like a thing because like Shiloh is a senior. Will they do it for Shador and Travis? Because technically they have another year, but they're not coming back.
Yes, Shador is a senior and Travis is a junior. So like for senior day, like the last game versus Oklahoma State, that's when they'll have like a ceremony for them.
Oh, what is homecoming?
Homecoming
that's
is
like the queen and king.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've lost my mind. I'm like, I started getting all sad. I'm like, oh no.
Too soon.
Okay. Okay. So we have until November, whenever that game is. Okay. I had a moment. Sorry. I lost my mind there for a second. I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad it's not this week because I could not handle it right now. So, okay. It's senior day. It's not homecoming. What an idiot. Anyways, well, I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to talk to you next week because like, this is it, right? This is Big 12 play, first Big 12 team. It's time to see like who we are, who we actually are, who we hope to be, and really compare like talent. And I'm excited to see that. So thank you for joining me, and we'll get this video out soon. So if you're watching this, you're welcome.
Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome.